close of play then on the second day, this terrific test match that we're watching at Headingley. Australia 116 for 4. They lead by 142. That after England were bowled out for 237. Their last 3 wickets added 95 in about 10 overs. It was incredible cricket. Led inevitably by Ben Stokes, who made 80 from 108 balls. But actually the impetus was started by Mark Wood, who made 24 from 8 balls, including 3 sixes. He came out, had a complete swipe, got it going. Broad hung around for a while. And so that took England to within 26 runs of Australia when they were miles behind early on in the day. Pat Cummins finished with 6 for 91. And then the 4 wickets, Warner for 1, Khawaja 43, Labuschagne 33, Smith out for 2. A key partnership remains, though. Head 18, Marsh, the Centurion in the first innings 17. And there's still Carey to come. So 116 for 4. Australia lead by 142 runs with still 3 days of the play to go. So where are we going to start? Let's start with Michael Vaughan then, shall we, Michael? It's exhausting cricket. I mean, it's just flying, isn't it?
It's fantastic to watch. It really is. You just don't know which way it's going to sway. I mean, England started so poorly this morning. When Chris Woakes was out just before lunch, I thought Australia are going to have at least 100 runs in the tank in the first innings. Then all of a sudden, from nowhere, Mark Wood arrived after lunch and hit a few sixes, 24 from his 8 deliveries. And then the pull shot started to be played, and obviously England have fallen to that trap once again. Ben Stokes is just remarkable. This England captain that we have, the way that he can strike a cricket ball and look like he's not going to get out with all the fielders on the boundary. He's an incredible cricketer. I just don't know how he gets his clarity. And when you think about his body that just looks like it's completely broken down, I don't even think he'll get anywhere near passing an MOT for that body. It's broken. He needs a new one. He's kept England in the game. Simple as that. Once again, we saw him at Lord's. He nearly got them over the line. Well, today, while there was a bit of carnage around him, he's once again got England up to somewhere close to Australia. And I have to say, I think England have bowled beautifully today. And full credit to Moeen Ali to hold an end and to get 2 massive wickets, to get the 2 wickets of Labuschagne and Smith. And there's nothing really there for the spin. There's no spin. It's just a holding kind of roll. And for him to have picked up those 2 wickets, a big bonus for the England team. I'm going
to float a theory to you 2 batsmen, and also to Glenn McGrath, who's here as well. Ben Stokes, in the next innings, I think Australia, I think you probably agree, are intimidated by him.
I know what you're going to say.
Everyone goes back. I don't like to see him anymore having to bat with the lower order, because they can put the field back and he can't take a run. I want him up the order.
Okay. Where are you going to bat him?
Possibly 3.
Ooh.
Is that ridiculous?
At the minute, he's playing so well, I don't want to see him against the new ball, particularly on a pitch like this, because I think there's enough there for the first 20 overs. I don't mind Ben being down into that 6 engine room with an older ball, and he is the one player that can cope with the carnage and the pressure. He's done it better than any other England batter I've seen.
He's turning so many runs down. They put everyone on the boundary. If he was batting with a proper batsman at the other end, they couldn't do that.
Well, let's be honest. It's now for him and the team to realise. So if you look at the way that Chris Woakes got out, Mark Wood got out, Stuart Broad got out, they're all playing huge shots. Stuart Broad a week ago at Lord's in the second innings hung in there and ducked and dived, and he helped Ben Stokes. I think the England team went down a method that they should have just ducked and weaved a few because of Ben Stokes being at the other end. So I would stick with him where he is, but try and encourage the other players to realise that he's that good. You've just got to try and hang in there.
Cookie, an opportunity for you to say that I'm talking rubbish, which you won't turn down.
But you did have once say that you wanted Chris Woakes to open batting. So we have to be careful about your suggestions.
That was in Sri Lanka, to be fair.
I think Australia would love the chance to bowl at Ben Stokes with the newer ball. I think you're quite right, and everyone's right, everyone knows it. They respect Ben Stokes so much, and they fear he can win any game of cricket against them in almost any position. They would love to see him at the top of the order.
Yeah, definitely. And if you look the way Stokesy goes about
it... way, as if saying you're talking rubbish.
It might be a 3-0 here.
But you have to look at the way Ben Stokes goes about it. When he's batting with batsmen, he's just playing normally. Yep. It's not until he's with the tail or towards the end that he actually pins the ears back and starts opening the shoulders. So, I think he would put him up the order, he would just play normally until he got down the tail anyway. So what's the point? You might as well let the ball get a little bit older, let him get his eye in, and then with the tail, I agree. Maybe Brody and co should have just hung in there, got the single while he's providing carnage at the other end, and he can do it for longer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll take a 3-0 defeat on that. But it was a fabulous innings, wasn't it? I mean, again, but actually, he was spurred on by Mark Wood this time. He came out and started it.
Oh, he did that. You want to see a first ball to nail the ball like he did. I mean, it was 25 rows back from Mitchell Starc. I mean, the Stark's figure something like 2 for 30 in his first 11 or 12 overs, and then his next 2 overs went for 35. And Mark, I reckon because they were quite timid's not the right word. They tried to bat time, didn't they? Moeen and Ben Stokes, very very un-Bazball like at all. Probably the first time we've seen the whole session once Root and Bairstow on these two settling in, just trying to almost grind Australia down. I just wonder whether at lunch they said, no, Woody, come on, we need something to get back in, throw a punch back at Australia.
They knew what they were going to bowl, actually.
Well, he actually spent the lunch break in the indoor school hitting balls. Yeah, I saw him walk over there with Paul Collingwood, and he walked back and he was revved up. I can imagine the balls that he would have been thrown to in the indoor school. I'm suggesting they were probably short, and they were working on that get out of the way technique and just swing as hard as you can. Yeah,
so I reckon Australia missed something after lunch there. If they just bowled normally to him, there was a little bit of movement in the air, a little bit of nip. If they just set a normal field, bowled top of off stump, might have got him out. But he was ready for the short stuff. And I know they want to sort of set a tone and bowl aggressive and get on top of them. But I think that just changed momentum a little bit.
I also think Australia wanted to give a few back to him after basic 96 mile an hour thunderbolts from him. I thought, go on, let's give a few back to him.
Moeen's coming. We're going to talk to him in a second. I think I might go 200th wicket first and then talk about his shot afterwards. I see they did talk to him about it on the telly just now.
You're very brave, five floors away, Agus.
Here he is. Moeen's putting his cans on. Moeen, good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm up here. He's looking. We'll give you a wave. We're up the top there. Well done. Congratulations on your 200th wicket. That must feel great. We've got you now. There you are.
Thank you. Very pleased. Obviously, more pleasing that the day was actually ended up quite nicely, and we're in still a winnable position.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a roller coaster again, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been really good. I mean, I thought we were struggling at one point with the bat until Stokesy and Woody let loose and just gave us a chance still. Being 20-odd runs behind is not too bad. And then obviously I thought that session was really good. I thought we bowled really well.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got to ask you about the finger because of course that affected you so badly at Bairstow, and you couldn't play in the last game. So is everything okay?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's painful, but it's not. I can bowl. Whereas the last game towards the end, I just physically couldn't bowl anymore. So I think it'll be fine now.
So come on, those 2 wickets. I mean, I wasn't going to say that, Mo. Yeah. But I mean, Labuschagne just seemed to be so well set.
Yeah, I mean, actually, just before that, I bowled a lot around the wicket, and Stokes would just go over and see what happens. And it happens sometimes as a spinner. I know actually the batter's under more pressure to try and score off me, and mistakes then happen. And it was nice to get 2 really good players out. Yeah,
come on then, talk us through the 200th.
It was just a bit of a scramble seamer, and it was full, and he just nailed it straight to mid-wicket. Saying that, actually, the ball before he played off me, I felt like he shaped up to do the same thing, and I'm not going to say I bowled for that. I just bowled the ball and he hit it straight to my fielder.
That sounds right. How are you enjoying it, Moeen? I mean, we know how you ended up coming back to Test cricket again. You put your England jumpers away. They were in the wardrobe. Are you glad you pulled them out?
Yeah, I'm really glad. I think playing under Stokesy and obviously having Baz as your coach, I just really enjoy someone like Stokesy's character, and even bowling there, I don't feel under pressure in any way. And even at Edgbaston, when I was getting hit for a few boundaries, he just kept the field up, and you managed to get a wicket. And yeah, he's. I really enjoyed it so far. It's been fantastic. The environment is my sort of environment for sure.
Right, now I'm going to take a deep breath and try and be brave. But as an old medium pacer, can you explain to me the process of your shot there to get out, Mo? I mean, that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, I know. I tried to keep it down. That was the problem. I should have played a bit of baseball and trying to hit it. But no, I was disappointed because obviously I actually felt set and I felt like I was playing all right, and then I just tried to hit the ball down and just top edge. Yeah, disappointing.
Okay, fair enough. Now, what do you think, as a last thought, is a chaseable target here?
Two things. I think, first of all, whatever they get, we're going to have to try and chase to win the Ashes. But I just think it's actually still a decent wicket. A little bit slower and like a little bit more dead than it was before. But yeah, I mean, we got some brilliant players who can play. The outfield's rapid and it takes a couple of guys to get in. The score, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. But from this position, I really would like to chase 260.
Okay. Now, just a very last one. You should have been with us this match, Moeen. You should have been up here.
Last game as well, yeah, I should have been up
I
there.
know. It's much easier up here.
Yeah, I know. I'm very good up there.
Well, I'm glad you're down there and got that 200th wicket. And it'd be great if you could make a contribution for the bat in the second innings, Mo. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, Agus. Thank you.
Cheerio. There we go. They did a really good job for England today. I was quite brave. It wasn't a great shot, was it?
Well, he played so well. I mean, he ducked and weaved and played with attrition with the captain. And then the trap was set and he just fell into that trap. He got away with 1-2 balls before, actually. Went in the air and there was a vacant space which Australia filled 2 balls later, and he just fell into that trap. But, I think his 2 wickets certainly make up for the shot.
Yes.
I mean, that to get Labuschagne, who was set and playing well, just had the life from Johnny down the leg side. And for Labuschagne to play that sweep shot, he struggled throughout the whole series. And I was watching Labuschagne and I thought, he's in. He's had the break. He played a cover drive off Stuart Broad. And I thought, he's just starting to find his game. He's starting to find his rhythm. It surprised me, I have to say, when he played that sweep shot, because I just didn't think he would be taking risks. I thought he'd just be setting himself to bat the whole day out. And then obviously I could see Steve Smith. As soon as he went out there, he was itching. He was itching to get going. And I was with Moeen, I was on commentary on the television. I could see he was itching to dance down and try and whack one. And it was just a bit too full. I think he wanted it a little bit short so he could get a bit of elevation under it and get it down into the stand. But it went full. 2 massive wickets in the context of the game.
An extraordinary, Glenn. I mean, you've seen these 2 bats so often. Just both of them to get out, really. And there were serious assists.
Yeah, it's one of those things. The scoreboard wasn't really ticking over. They're going along at 2.5 runs and over. So if they could have gone along at 3.5, just keep that scoreboard ticking over. There's a little bit less pressure. So they're trying to force it. I don't know whether it was one of those things. Labuschagne just had a life, so he a little bit of relief and think, okay, I'm going to make him pay, and a little bit more adrenaline, and he's out next ball, which is quite rare. And Steve Smith just came out there. Instead of looking to work the ball, he was looking to force it. So, when you try to lift the scoring rate or the slow scoring rate, can also add a bit of pressure.
What about these chances and Johnny Bairstow? I mean, it really is sort of coming into that spotlight now, isn't it? I mean, is it a question of it being result dependent? I mean, if England win, would they be more inclined to keep him behind the stumps, or are there just too many chances going down now? You have a go at that first, Alistair.
Cheers, Agus. I was just also thinking about who was Mo's replacement. Who have I stepped in for Mo? Was he booked and then because Mo's been picked?
I hate to tell you that, yeah. But actually,
I'm glad we cleared that up. Johnny Bairstow, he's had a tough Test match with the gloves. It was a tough chance. It wasn't the
leg side one.
The leg side one was a tough chance. He actually moved probably as well as he's moved behind the stumps to get close to that. But it is a serious issue for England, because we were speaking a little bit on air, weren't we? There is zero hiding place for a keeper.
No,
you can't go off and have a half an hour down at fine leg and then come back in the fray. You've got to keep fronting up and you've got to keep taking the challenge on. Does it affect his batting? They've got the England management side will have to have a look at it and go, is it affecting him as a batting? Because that is the main reason he's in the side. Is the difference that he adds to Folkes is with the runs and with now Ben Stokes not bowling at all. He's batting at 5. Ben Folkes can't bat at 5. I don't think. I think that's too high for Ben Folkes. Not he can't. I think it's too high for him to do that. But it's to make that call in the middle of an Ashes series. It would be very unlike Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes. It's a bit like saying to Zach Crawley, haven't they? They've said to him, "You are playing all 5 of these Test matches. matter what, again, trying to give him that confidence to play. And I imagine to Johnny Bairstow, who has been in and out of the side as a keeper throughout his career, isn't it? I certainly picked him as a keeper and as a batsman, certainly as a captain. So he hasn't quite nailed it on. Do I think England would change? I don't.
He made 78 in the first test.
If he wins the game for England in the second innings with the bat, it'll show a lot of character, because he's had a tough 2 test matches, but that's what he's in the side for, and he needs to repay the England hierarchy with some runs in that second.
It's all result dependent. England win, he'll be staying in the side. If they lose, they're 3-0 down. The noise is noisy now.
Yeah.
About I just look at him, and he's had a broken leg.
I know. He's had a terrible injury.
Damage to those ligaments in his ankle. I think it's difficult to be so nimble behind the stumps once you've had that kind of injury. I certainly would have picked him at the start. I certainly would have kept him in the side for this game, but clearly he's having a real effect on the team's performance by the way that he's not delivering his skill well enough, and that's an issue for the side. Very much result dependent. If England win here, he'll be absolutely fine. He'll play at Old Trafford, and they'll stay, and they'll say, look, it's working. If they lose here, it wouldn't surprise me if they have to have a look at that. Yeah.
Australia, meanwhile, Glenda's catching virtually everything, aren't they? I mean, it's terrific slip catching we've seen again today.
Yeah, no, they've got good hands. They haven't dropped too many this series, and it's more a rarity than anything. And you look at the drop catches that England have had. I think it's been very costly, and that's one big difference between the teams. And I think the Australians pride themselves on the way they catch. Steve Smith taking 5 catches today. So that's a massive difference, and it's also for your bowlers to know that every edge is going to be, 99.9% chance it's going to be taken. It sort of gives them a lot of a boost as well. So it's been a big difference in this game. The catches that have been dropped, England could be well in front here, but that's the difference. Catches win matches, and it's very, very true.
We can hear from the Australian their captain, Pat Cummins, almost unnoticed, took 6 wickets, and he's been speaking with Simon Mann.
Well, Pat, despite looking up and seeing the sun out this morning, do you think there was something in it for you personally this morning when you went out to bowl?
Yeah, it's a nice wicket. A bit faster than the last couple of wickets, and a little bit of sideways movement. So, he's done a good job.
How do you feel you bowled?
Not too bad. Really well this morning, really. I thought everyone before lunch, there's a couple of really tight periods. Probably would have liked to finish them off with a few less runs, but overall, to have a lead, with only 250 or so that we got in the first innings is a great effort.
So I'd offered you 26-run lead at the start of the day. Would you have taken that?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, it's a pretty good wicket out there, so any lead's pretty valuable.
What's it like when the ball starts to travel all around the ground, that period after lunch, not just as a bowler but as a captain as well?
It's fun. You've got to try and do some problem solving. It is enjoyable. Stokes batted well with the tail again. Mark Wood put a few in the stand. So, you just got to be quite clear with your plans and quite clear with the areas of the ground that you're happy to get hit.
It's been such a series of short pitch bowling. Is that something you expected at the start of it?
Not really, no. I think particularly the first 2 test matches, the wicket didn't have a lot on an offer, so both teams kind of got driven into that plan. This one's a little bit different. You haven't seen quite as many.
What about the state of the game? I don't know what it's like watching it. I mean, every ball seems vital. It seems right in the balance again. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think it's that. Just when one team looks like they're getting the upper hand, the other team kind of takes a few wickets or puts on a partnership. So, I'm sure the fans are absolutely loving it. I wouldn't mind a stress-free day or two sometime throughout the series, but all set up for another wonderful match.
Now, I know captains like as many runs as they possibly can, but what do you feel you can work with in the England second innings? Yeah,
600 should be enough. I think 300 would be good. But really, I think we bowl well. Hopefully it starts to spin. We'll look to defend anything.
Pat, well bowled today. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you. Tough.
There you go, Pat Cummins talking to Simon Mann. Andy, have you got some nuggets for us?
Yes, let's start with Pat Cummins, 6 for 91. His first 5-wicket haul in tests in England, his best figures against England. 9 tests he's played in this country. He's taken at least 4 wickets in all of them. Only Stuart Broad and Glenn McGraw have a longer run of consecutive tests in this country with 4 or more wickets. But Australia's top 4 have struggled in this game. No half-centuries in either innings for the first time in a test in England since 2001, and only the third time in almost 60 tests in this country since 1981 that they've failed to post a 50 from their top 4. Steve Smith's 5 catches sets a new Ashes record for a non-wicketkeeper in a single innings. He's also joint top of the all-time Ashes catches, taken by a fielder who was not a wicketkeeper with 54. But in his second innings, this is an extraordinary statistic. Since the start of the last Ashes series in Australia, he's batted 15 times in the second innings of tests. He has a top score of 35 and an average of 21. It is a real curiosity for such a great player. Marnus Labuschagne in the first significant dip of his career, his last 11 tests, just 2 half-centuries, but he's reached double figures 17 times and 2 more unconverted starts in this test. Moeen Ali got Smith and Labuschagne out for just 9 runs, the second best innings figures against those 2 players combined by a spinner in all the matches they played together for Australia. Moeen's became the third England spinner to take 200 test wickets after Derek Underwood and Graham Swan, the 4th England player to achieve the double of 2,000 runs and 200 wickets after Stuart Broad, Andrew Flintoff and Ian Botham. Mark Wood 6-4-6 at the start of his innings, the second player to hit 16 in the first 3 balls of a test innings, after a player who was a new one to all of us, I think, today, Foffy Williams of the West Indies in 1948 against England. Ben Stokes has now hit 14 sixes in the series. That ties Kevin Peterson's record for most sixes in an Ashes series.
Lovely. Thank you, Andy. Very comprehensive. Alistair, OK, he's joking about 600. He said 300, and I'm guessing he's adding his 320, his 26 onto that. But what do you think England would be able to chase?
I think 270. I think just judging, we keep saying, it's a really fair cricket wicket, it's a good cricket wicket, it looks flat to bat on, but no one's found batting easy.
No. Apart from Mitch Marsh.
Apart from Mitchell Marsh, yeah. That's whether this pitch, historically over the last few years, has got better and better and better. Sides have chased well here, but I think 270 with the pressure on, with the Ashes on the line,